Now, more perspectives on what we're seeing, what might happen, where it takes us. Includes a much more wide-ranging discussion that few people seem to either want to discuss or would rather leave in the dust. The thinking rumination in the GOP about the down ticket, realizing that Donald Trump will likely be the nominee, what that could do to everything from Congress on down to the local races. We should begin at the current core of it all, Indiana. He is the former spokesman for President George W. Bush, author of The War on Millennials, senior project manager at Hathaway Strategies from Indianapolis, Pete Seat. Pete, thanks for joining us. All right, you just heard Dick Morris talk a little bit about what's going on here, but we're still waiting for some of the early numbers to come in yet. Nothing's been called. Polls just closed 7 minutes ago. So let's look at it this way, though, Pete. The down ticket that everybody is talking about right now. How concerned should Republicans be with regard to, and we've talked a little bit about the House and the Senate, but those down races, the local races that still become important to Republican power if Donald Trump wins?
Well, first, just to clarify, polls closed in most of the state. The northwest portion and the southwest portion are on Central Time, so they won't be closing until 7 p.m. Eastern. So don't expect any results until all the polls are closed in Indiana. We don't need another Florida on our hands from 2000 when they started to release things too early. But to answer your question, what's been interesting about this cycle is up to this point, not a single incumbent member of Congress has gone down as a result of the Donald Trump phenomenon. It has really been all about him. His supporters have not been moved to take out any of these incumbents in this Washington culture that they hate so much that's driving them to support Donald Trump. Now, that could be a completely different story in the general election. I think a lot of candidates who are going to be on the same ballot with Donald Trump, hypothetically speaking, at the top of the ticket, are concerned. They're worried that he will be an anchor that will bring them down and that we will lose majorities in the Senate.
But why, Pete? I got to interrupt you for a second.
Depending on how bad it is.
Why should they be concerned? And again, let's go ahead and play devil's advocate here. Donald Trump is over 50% of the vote. He has energized the Republican Party. Many people believe more Republicans are going to come to the poll this time than in current memory. Why should they be so concerned if the party seems to be on such fire?
One, a primary electorate is different than a general electorate. You're also talking about Democrats. You're also talking about independents, people that aren't necessarily voting in a Republican primary. Republicans aren't the only people who are voting in November. And if he continues to use the rhetoric he uses to offend all sorts of groups of individuals, women, veterans, Hispanics, you name it, that will bring down Republicans that are on the ballot with him. They will have a choice between standing with him or distancing themselves from him. And it will be a difficult choice for a lot of these people. They'll have to make it based on their districts and their demographics and whatever polling they have, what they feel is in their best interest. But there is a palpable concern that Donald Trump, it's all about himself, and he's not going to be worried about what happens down ballot below him.
Pete, I got about 90 seconds left here. Ted Cruz went off today against Donald Trump. It was a stinging line of personal attacks, including things such as serial philanderer, pathological liar, narcissist, these things. He just went off. Is this not a last-ditch effort? And was this smart for Ted Cruz to do it? He's getting hammered on social media today for this, and it seems like he's become unhinged.
Yeah, that's the step that comes after desperation, I think, is being angry and unhinged. And no, of course it doesn't help him. He resorted to the same words and rhetoric that Donald Trump has used this entire campaign. We saw what happened when Marco Rubio tried that. It didn't work. It only works in some weird way for Donald Trump. I think Ted Cruz feels that his back is against the wall. Tonight is probably not going to be a good night for him in Indiana, and he lashed out. He let his anger come out on live national television, and it's going to turn off a lot of people.
It has turned off an awful lot of people, I can tell you, on social media, on the Ted Cruz page and other pages as well. I've been watching this now for about an hour or so, a couple of hours, and they are seething at Ted Cruz. Pete Seat, I want to thank you very much for joining us, my friend. We're going to talk to you again soon. Now, let's remind you, this comment that Ted Cruz made, we're going to get to this momentarily, but not before we're going to go ahead, break out the appetizer a little bit later on. Special version of the world-famous lightning round. The question we will be posing to you as the evening goes forth: should Ted Cruz keep up the fight for the GOP nomination, or is it time for him to pack up and go home? As always, you'll have to explain yourself. No one-word answers, no spouting cliches. That'll be 1-877-Newsmax. Line up right now because we're going to take a break, come back on the other side. The political animal, we'll dig into a little bit of this if we will, but a little bit more about what we're seeing and what we may not see tonight. That would be a Ted Cruz victory. And again, the polls are not quite closing just yet. 1-877-Newsmax. Stay with us. We'll continue on America Votes 2016.